So now that the Alpha for Midnight is out, there's a bit of argy-bargy about the add-ons. One of the big things that's coming to Midnight in terms of game changers, huge one, is that Blizzard are attempting to restrict combat add-ons. So, of course, the likes of Deadly Boss Mods and Weak Auras, and from Deadly Boss Mods, they've been saying, well, we're going to adapt, and they've said they're quite happy with the general philosophy of what Blizzard are trying to achieve, but that what has been affected in the phase one of the alpha is way beyond it, and they're hoping that Blizzard make changes. Now, it is worth pointing out, I remember Ian Hazakostas when he was relatively new game director, and he made a really big change to the game then. Do you remember what it was? Back in Warlords of Draenor, when they decided they were going to remove flying. Only, they didn't tell anyone. You just went into Warlords of Draenor, went, okay, this is okay. Where's my flying? How come I can't fly? And that's the point at which they said, oh yeah, we've taken flying out of the game. Hope you're cool with it. No, we weren't cool with it. And in actual fact, I won't go too much into it. I've had my say on it in the past. I sort of understood their rationale for it. I got their rationale for it. But it was a stunningly bad move. And there were multiple stunningly bad moves to it. First of all, flying's one of those things. When we talk about flying, we mean player controlled flying. We don't mean flying taxis. That's been in the game since day one. But being able to fly your own mount wherever you like. And they thought they could just take it away. They thought they had good reason to. And do you know what? It is one of those things. I do think to myself, WoW might have been better without ever having player control flying, or if they just had it for TBC. But it's been in for several expansions at that point. The genie's out of the bottle. People want it. People, So there was a bit of a backlash. So anyone who played Warlords of Draenor, or played World of Warcraft, after Warlords of Draenor will think, well, hang on a minute, flying never really went away. No. There was that little period where it wasn't in the game. There was a huge backlash because they hadn't prepared people for it. There was a huge backlash. And then there was, Hazakostas was saying things like, we designed the whole area. There's no flight. We can't do flying. We'd have to do loads of work to all the terrain. To which the community just replied back, well, you better get on with it, aren't you? Because we want flying. A long story short is we've got flying. So now there's this other big... Now, there's been lots of other big changes in World of Warcraft since then. It's not that trying to take away flying, trying to take away our toys and our mounts. No, there's been other big changes, but they've generally been much better received or less scary, shall we say. So when they announce that, oh yeah, we're going to break combat add-ons, and they're not saying, by the way, they want combat add-ons to not work at all. There's just certain things they've said that they want to restrict. Now, I mean, one of the reasons why it's causing a bit of antagonism is I don't think people really believe the reasons given. The reasons given is because it's a bit of a hassle for the boss design team having to come up with things, knowing that there's going to be these add-ons and all the rest of it. I'm not really sure that's true. I would say Blizzard have been consistently very good at designing the boss fights, the raid boss fights, all the way up to mythic level. They've managed the process really well. They've got it down to a fine art, I would say, and indeed a science. And I say that as a former Retribution Paladin who used to curse the names of the boss designers at times. But broadly speaking, if you were a Ret Paladin or one or two chosen others, broadly speaking, they're very good at it. Superb. So I don't believe that. I don't think a lot of the community believe it either. I think a lot of the community believe, well, certainly a lot of the community believe, that they're looking around other MMOs and going, oh, there's a bit of a... There's quite a lot of MMOs available on console, and that would open it up to a lot of new players. And, if you wanted to make World of Warcraft suitable for console, or even just try things out, if you're talking about World of Warcraft 2, like a sequel that will launch on PC and console, say, and you want to try some things out in World of Warcraft, combat add-ons are a bit of a problem. You'd probably need to do something to restrict combat add-ons. And this is where, it's probably trickier for a game like World of Warcraft to do that, because a lot of MMOs have add-on functionality, but not that much. Blizzard, right from the start with World of Warcraft, were very good. And it was something the community appreciate. They were very open about people producing add-ons. There have been changes. I remember back in Vanilla where, some add-ons were basically allowing you to, it was letting you not give you information, but actually playing the game for you. So it was like, yeah, we need to stop that. So there's always been like things done. But this is really quite big because people are going to have to frankly change the way they play the game. And, for example, me, now I'm casual. I haven't raided properly for years, not since Legion. I did a little bit in practice, for Battle for Azeroth in the alpha and the beta. So I did some raid testing, but I've not really, I've just done LFR since then. And I'm flipped between different games now, giving Final Fantasy a go again. It doesn't make it easy, that game. But anyway, never mind that. The point is that what I do now, as someone, I know how to play the game. I can learn tactics. I'm fine. I've got the basics. But I don't go reading, I don't go watching guides and stuff like that on the boss fights when I go into LFR. I just go, I've got deadly boss mods. It'll tell me when it's time to stack. That's all I need is some basic commands. Some AoE appears around you. Oh, do I bugger off with this because it's poison? Or is it shared damage? Do I need to stack with people? So I need that, stack or bugger off. I need some things like, do I need to move away with something, move towards the boss with something? Just a couple of basics, things like that. And it sounds to me like that. Is that still going to be a thing? Is that going to be there? Is that going to not? There are some things that you do get in, DBM for again, purely just for LFR purpose. Because, the purpose of LFR, you shouldn't be needing to know the tactics as such. It should be quite basic. And that's what I would think to that. So who is this going to most annoy? Is it going to mostly annoy Mythic Raiders? I actually suspect not. I would imagine if I was a Mythic Raider, I'd be more comfortable with this because whatever the game throws at you, whatever Blizzard throw at you, they're intending it to be perfectly possible with the tools they're allowing you to use, right? So they're not just going to carry on designing bosses in the same way and remove your boss mods. They're going to adapt them. That's fine. So as a Mythic Raider, I'd be thinking, do you know what? The whole point is it's difficult anyway. Difficult, but not impossible, right? So that would be fine. Heroic and normal may be a little bit more concerned, but you have at least got that coordination there. I would actually say for LFR, this would be, which is, again, like any pyramid, there's like loads of players play LFR. It's like the casual players. You'd be thinking to yourself, are they going to get this right? Because if they get it wrong, you just ruin the whole thing. I'll give you a little example. So, in terms of LFR, the last few tiers, Blizzard, I think, have done really well. I think LFR has been in the best place it's ever been. It's been all over the place. We went from the very first, I remember very first LFR, I think that was Dragon Soul, wasn't it? And that was like, I was raiding then, so it was sort of okay, but there were lots of wipes and stuff like that, but it was, you're starting. Mists of Pandaria, particularly in the first tier, it was just face walk. I actually used to do it on two different characters at once, not in the same. I would have, because I have two accounts, I would have them on two separate monitors, and I would just sign them up at the same time. They'd end up in different ones, and then I would just do a little bit on each one. It was so face walk. It was unbelievable. It's so difficult to mess up. That I was able to do literally two characters at once. Then it got into a better, and it's been up and down, up and down. And what I would say is the first tier of Dragonfly, LFR, was not in a great place. It was mostly Wing 2 I would never dare do in an evening. I would only do that in an afternoon. There seemed to be different, because the raiders seemed to be not there in the evening, of course, and you ended up in a right mess. Even Wing 1, you'd just often wipe on like the second boss. The third boss seemed unwipeable. The first boss you probably didn't wipe, but the second boss you quite often wiped at least once. And then as for Razagath, oh my God, it's painful. But after that, massive improvement. I remember I took a little break, only a little break, came back and doing that second tier. And I refused to do Sarkarath on LFR because I still had PTSD from Razagath LFR, right? And so I didn't do him. I thought, I'm not doing the end boss. I don't need the end boss. Sod it. Doesn't matter. I'm casual. I'm getting enough gear from this. It's fine. And then one day I just did. I thought I went in it. We went in there, one shot it. I thought, ooh, okay. And then I found that you did wipe every now and then, but it was more common to one shot it than not. And I thought, oh, they've proper LFR'd this end boss. Oh, this is all right. Then, a major seal, same thing. Same thing. The bosses were absolutely fine. And then that carried on into War Within. The first tier, absolutely superb. You almost never wiped on any bosses. Great. No one wants to wipe in LFR. And then the same thing with the Goblin, the Undermine. Fantastic. Not so much the latest raid. Not so much the Koresh raid. Dementius, bit of a pain. I wouldn't recommend doing it on anything other than a Wednesday afternoon. And even then, you might be in for a tough time. And I suppose Tuesday afternoon in America. And as for even the other bosses, the first wing is all right. You probably get through the first wing. The second wing, not so much. Particularly the first boss. The first boss, a lot of people wipe on it, even now. So I don't really do it that much. I'm thinking, thank God for Delves. May do a video on that. Thank God for Delves, because I'm not. Yeah, the old LFR. It's not that great. And you think and as a result of that, I'm not really playing LFR. I'm doing it every now and then, but I'm not really doing it. I have loads of characters, by the way. I've got like a dozen characters, and in the last tier, I was going through them, all of them, LFR each week. Now I'm not even doing it on a single character on a given week. I mean, every couple of weeks I might do it on one character, because it's the stupid wipes, the constant wipes are not fun. So I don't do it. Why would you do it? Casual player don't need to do it. You wipe for progression with a group of friends who are all learning and the rest of it. The people in LFR aren't on a journey with you. They're not. They're strangers at a bus stop. You're not invested in any learning process. There is no learning process. You can wipe 3 times on a boss, finally kill it, come back the next week and wipe another 3 times on the same boss, because it's different people and no one's learned any lessons. So I would just say if you damage the LFR experience. So I do hope Blizzard do get it right. It's good that, obviously, I mean, they will be listening to the people who produce the add-ons as well and working with them. But I would say this is at the lower end where it really needs to work, not so much at the upper end. At the upper end, they're always paying attention to the tuning of the bosses. We know that anyway. Mythic bosses come out and the top guilds go through them, and then once the main wave of the very top guilds has gone through, they just tune it down for the rest of us, or the rest of them now. It's no longer us, sorry. But yeah, but it is good, at least. Unlike the flying one, they've given people a lot of notice. They haven't tried to spring it on people. They haven't launched midnight and everyone's going, oh, my add-ons aren't working. Oh yeah, we broke that, sorry. We don't like it. So at least this time there's plenty of communication, which so maybe lessons were learned from flying. But again, I would still say, I think you might need to give players a bit of a better reason for it, because I think people are thinking to themselves, you're not doing this because of your poor, stressed encounter designers. You're doing this because you want to work out how to make an MMO for console, aren't you? Which will, by its nature, mean fewer add-ons. Like in a lot of MMOs. As I say, Blizzard were very, very good with add-ons. World of Warcraft's add-ons, really comprehensive. They were very open about letting the community produce things for it, unlike some other MMOs that sometimes made it difficult. But it's sort of potentially biting them on the arse now if they want to rein it back. It's like, genie out the bottle again. You have to be very, very careful. And maybe what Blizzard need to do is like bit by bit. Maybe they just need to bit by bit, frog in a boiling pot, move people. Instead of in one fell swoop getting the game to where they really want it to be, just thinking, well, let's just massage that a little bit, get used to it, and then a bit more. Maybe that's the way to do it. But let me know what you think in the comments below anyway. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.